Well, these are two different ones. Which one is that? All right, we'd like to call this meeting to order, council meeting, Tuesday, January 14th, 2025 at 6:04 p.m. We'd like to excuse Mayor Call. He's out of town with his family. Like to excuse a couple of our city council people. Ann might be joining us later via Zoom. We'd like to start the meeting today, and again, welcome you please here. And if you do come to the mic, please state your name and make sure to sign in on our roll there that's on the table. We'd like to start the meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance, opening prayer, reading or expression of thought, and that would be by Council Member Dave Marriott.
All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Father in heaven, we are indeed grateful for the opportunity we have to meet tonight. We're thankful for the city that we live in, grateful for the peace that we feel and for the beauty and for the great citizens that we have here in Pleasant View. We're mindful of those around the world who are struggling or need thy help, and we pray for them and pray that we will be protected and guided as well here in our city. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to do the business tonight, and we pray we'll be guided and be able to discuss things and resolve to do the best things for the city tonight. We are grateful for all the blessings that we receive and for the safety, grateful for our first responders and our city staff and all those that help the city to be a good place. We ask for these blessings tonight and do this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Dave. Item number 1B, declaration of conflicts of interest. Has everybody looked over the agenda and anything?
Yeah, I have. I don't believe it's a conflict, but I just wanted to make you aware of agenda item 5, what is it, 5A? 5B, sorry. 5B, applicant Cecil Satterthwaite. He and I both have kids that are married to each other. I don't believe it's a conflict, but it's a good thing. I'm glad to know him. So.
Okay, thank you.
He is the applicant. I don't believe he's an owner of the property though. So.
Thank you very much. Okay, 1C, is there any public comments or questions for the council today that is not on the agenda? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go to item number 2, Chief. I did that.
Okay, the bills are present.
No,
No.
we're going to 2.
Oh, you're good.
Here are the comments.
You're good.
Chief, we turn the time over to you. Yep.
Well, it's a great honor and privilege to be here today with you guys. I'm excited to offer these awards. We've been waiting to give them for quite some time now, and I'm excited to do it. You know, in law enforcement, when we go out and we recruit new officers, one of the major things that I look for is I look for somebody that I truly believe will act in the time of crisis. And when things are tough and the stress is there and everything's going on, I look for those that I really truly believe will act. And tonight, I'm excited because we get to recognize a couple of officers that acted in a time of crisis. So I'm gonna read a little thing here, and then I'll go forward with the award. On February 15th, 2024, Officer Benson and Sergeant Smith responded to an address in Pleasant View where a 17-year-old male was suffering from cardiac arrest. Officer Benson and Sergeant Smith arrived within minutes and found the male inside his home with his father performing CPR. Officer Benson and Sergeant Smith took over CPR and continued to perform life-saving measures until medical personnel arrived on scene. When the victim was eventually transported to a local hospital and ultimately survived this incident. It was confirmed that the heroic actions of Officer Brady Benson and Sergeant Paul Smith were vital in saving this individual's life. For their actions on this day, Officer Brady Benson and Sergeant Paul Smith are being awarded the department's life-saving award. If I could have Officer Brady Benson come up. So we've got a little plaque here from Officer Brady Benson along with our life-saving pin. I'd just like to award him that and thank you for your service in doing that. Just wait right here, and if we could have Sergeant Paul Smith come up. And the same thing for you. I'd like to give you a plaque and a pin for your efforts.
Into the picture of them with their family and.
Again, it's with great honor that I award those individual awards. I just want to say real quick, I think it, like I said before, we always look for those that will act in those moments of stress and moments of crisis. And I'm really thankful for both of them. Worked with both of them for a long time, and that's something that I think is well-deserved on their part. I appreciate our council's support in the police department.
Chief, we do have the family here. Would any of you guys like to say anything here? I mean, dad or son? I mean, I think that's appropriate.
Really, as a family, we're really been a crazy year. We're grateful to have her. So here. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one word on that. And I've had opportunity to call the police officers several times to my home. And it's always a good thing to call and to know someone else is there. When you're going through something tough, we call the police, call the fire department. And when you hear those sirens coming, it's a relief. Yet these guys are dealing with that every day. And I can't thank you enough for that. I'm a firm supporter of the police officers, those first responders. So from the city, thank you guys. Thank you very much. Even though you went to North Ogden, unfortunately. What do we do for that? But thank you anyway. Appreciate that. Any other comments, guys?
No, I'll just echo what Councilmember Gibson said, that we are very grateful for the police department that we have in our city and all the first responders and those who go out daily and help our community. My son is alive today because of some first responders, and he stopped breathing as a 2-month-old baby, and they saved his life. And so I'm very indebted to those who are willing to answer the call and jump right in and help those who are in need. And so very grateful.
Yeah, I just want to say we have the best. They're just, all the ones that I know and met and worked with, they are very high caliber people, and I really appreciate our police department and the city.
Thank you. All right. We announced that too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Amy's behind a little bit.
All right, let's
Well,
move on to item number 3, the consent items. We have minutes from the 10th, 2024. We have the open and then closed meeting minutes.
I think there is, on one of the closed meeting minutes, it says that Ryan Hadley was here as a staff and he was not on December 10th. There wouldn't be any reason for him to be. Oh, the other one. Yeah.
We were trying to decide, I think Stetson was here though.
Yes.
I think he was in that, yeah.
That's right. Then Chief Hadley retired in October. Correct. So he wouldn't have been here. So,
I didn't see any other changes. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of December 10th, both open and closed, and also the bills of the city.
Perfect.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Seems quiet.
Seems quiet.
That's really-
All right, we have Amy, is it Davies or Davis? Davies. I said it right the first time. She has our audit report. And we'll let her present her findings from that.
It's the highlight of the night.
I bet. We always have great glowing reports, so.
I said just,
Do again.
I said, just hit the negatives, and since there's no negatives, thank you very much for coming.
You, very minor, actually. So you do have some reading in front of you, that we put together this audit report, but the results of the audit are that we issued a clean opinion, which means that the financial statements you have in front of you present fairly the financial position of the city as of June 30th. We do have a few recommendations. Maybe we'll start with those first. It is in a separate letter, not in the bound report. Got here. They did not rise to the significance of being needed in the bound audit report, and there's just a few things.
Is it on
I
this?
wanted to bring to the
Okay.
board's attention. That's correct. But on the second page, if you'll flip over, have 2 items labeled 2024-1 and 2. The first one is an internal control weakness over adjustments. We do have a small staff at the city and the court, and mitigating control should be put in place in those circumstances. And we found that during our review of internal controls over cash receiving, we noted that non-cash adjustments are not reviewed. So this is also an echo of the review done by the AOC. So we just recommend that an independent individual review non-cash adjustments. Management agreed and determined they would assign this responsibility to the judge in accordance with the recommendation from the AOC. Any questions there on that recommendation? The second one deals with the Open and Public Meetings Act. 2 items. The first one is that 1 council member did not complete the required training, and we noted minutes for 2 city council meetings that were posted to the Utah Public Notice website. So we just recommend that the board members, city council members receive the required state training and the minutes get posted.
that probably was me.
Was it timely training or just didn't get done?
It's required every year. Was it me?
We'll talk about these.
I did most of it, but there might,
It's
there
okay.
might have been a little meeting that I forgot to do.
We
And then the final few pages of this letter are the journal entries that we issued. We're required to present those so that you're aware. Laurie does a very good job of her accounting and her books are very clean. There were just some adjustments over fixed assets and we have some new lease standards that get a little bit complicated, that they helped me work together and work through. But Laurie and Amy and Heather, kudos to them for their cooperation with this audit. They were very responsive and up to the very last day of December to get this audit done. I appreciate their help. If you'll turn to the bound audit report, we'll just kind of quickly go over some financial highlights as of June 30th. I know it was 6 months ago, but let's take a look. We did the work, right? So if you'll turn to page 12 of the audit report. This is the balance sheet of, actually, I'm gonna have you go more pages to page 14. This is the balance sheet for your governmental funds, where your general fund, your roads, equipment, your RDA, you have your parks and your city hall funds here. You have your total assets at 16 million, and that increased about 1 million over the prior year. You have some liabilities of 1.4 million, which just fluctuate from year to year. And your total fund balance for all funds was 13 million. That last section at the bottom of the page kind of outlines where your restricted fund balances are, which are important, as you know, your some balances can only be spent on certain items. So that information is provided there for you. If you'll turn 2 pages 16. We've got the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance, again for the governmental fund. Total revenues for all of these funds was 8.5 million, up about 654,000 from the prior year. We have total expenditures at 7.5 million, and they were also up about 1.7 million. A lot of that was due to your capital outlay. So your net change in fund balance was 1.1 million for all of your governmental funds. Just a couple items to note for your general fund, if you want to know about how your budget turned out. Your revenues were only about 50K under budget. Great. Your total expenditures were 643K under budget, mostly due to some unspent budgeted funds in public works. And so your general fund had a net decrease fund balance of $403,000 there. Just kind of know what happened with your general fund there. Any questions so far? Okay. Trying to go quickly, but if you wouldn't mind just turning over a couple pages to look at your proprietary funds, I think it's worth looking at. Maybe let's just head over to page 19, the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in fund balance. This statement is laid out a little bit differently from your governmental funds, as these are supposed to be business type activities where they're supposed to be, your expenses should be covered by your revenues. So midway through, you can see your operating income or loss, and you can see that for all of your different utilities. So it's pointing out that your storm sewer, your operating income, there was a loss of 43,000. Solid waste had a loss of 28,000. Water had a net income of 43 and sewer had net income of 99,000. And then we add in the impact fees and the interest revenue, which are non-operating, which only result in only the solid waste having a negative net position at year end. But just something to kind of watch these funds to make sure that the revenues are covering expenses as expenses continue to rise for everybody.
So would that be a possible adjustment to the impact fee to make sure that the revenue is, matching
You would want to
The
more
expense
watch your
or
rates.
the rates, the rates?
Yeah, because impact fees are non-operating. So you want to make sure your operating expenses are covered by your operating revenues, which are your charges.
What did we do in the storm sewer that boosted
I don't
that.
know, I just wondered if we do that mid-year way, or would we wait and just do a budget? I don't know.
What was the, no, what was the big ticket storm sewer? And that's our biggest.
But we haven't adjusted our storm.
Rates.
I know you
Well, I think,
adjusted
I
your
think
solid
we have, because
waste.
that, I mean, isn't that the storm sewer?
We haven't adjusted it, and we've needed to adjust with the growth rate and all of that, and so.
Oh,
What?
They were just losses on
Losses.
storm sewer and solid waste. They're not significant, I mean, I think.
Yeah.
No,
that's
but
it,
if
but I
it
just wondered-
continues down this path, it will be
I just
significant.
wondered.
It- It's just something to watch, right?
That the rates need to be, in my opinion, from the audit, need to
Which
be
you did make a
adjusted.
big adjustment in solid waste, I think, was it around 20% or so?
Mhm.
It was over 20% in your storm, so you did close the gap a little bit on that in 2024. Is that right? Is there anything you want to add? Am I? No. That makes sense. Okay.
Do we typically have a loss in those? I mean, I just wondered if we stay so close.
No, I want it to have be a wash as much as we can.
Okay. Yeah.
It's supposed to pay for itself. In theory.
Go ahead, sorry.
Some other pages just to point out to you is page 36. You've got your fixed assets. Kind of your increases and decreases, what happened there. Your biggest additions were your, the 1,000 West conversion. This is in your governmental funds. And the dump truck purchase. And on the next page, on page 37, your biggest additions were your 800 west water line and your Booker Pond there. So you can kind of see what changes occurred there. That's just kind of a real brief overview of what happened during the year. We also appreciate the council's help in responding to audit questions and what you do in your monthly reviews and helping out with control. Have any other questions for me or comments or?
So we were scheduled to have the audit review, was it November or December? We missed it, I know, we're late. Is that normal that we would wait that
So
long?
it really isn't, oh, sorry if I cut you off,
No, you're
Councilmember.
good.
It really isn't an issue. So the audit report was posted before the end of the year, and that's the state's requirement. So the presentation happening today, I mean, it's been posted on the state's website, so we're compliant with the requirements, but unfortunately, just with the timing and Christmas Eve, and it just worked better to have the presentation this evening.
Yeah, I agree.
But we are compliant within the.
Yes, correct, absolutely.
We have great staff. I just thank
Yes,
you
we
for
do.
keeping track of all the numbers and everything. I just,
Even if I make corrections to you, then.
No,
Ray, thank you very much for everything. you do.
Amy.
This is not an audit issue. You're welcome to listen.
You already printed it. We're done.
And I just want to thank our auditor this year. This is our first time working with Amy. I mean, we've worked with the company in the past, but I do appreciate that they kind of rotate through different auditors to give us different perspective. And she was excellent, had some really great pointers for us kind of moving forward. And it was a really successful audit. So thank you so much for all of your efforts. I know this isn't easy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we want Pleasant View to be the top tier of everything we do, so just
Okay.
make sure to spread that around.
Yeah, get us.
Yes.
Build an exemption.
All right, any other questions about the audit?
No,
Thank you very much.
thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Item number 5, home occupation exemption request. Ari,
I don't know if they're here.
They left, but they. No, they're not here.
I guess when he had come in, he said he could make it tonight or not, but he has a construction business. He moves a lot and he wants to use his parents' home as his base. So he's just using the house as paperwork or having things in the home. But his trucks and different things will not be at the house. So he's asking for a variance from you guys.
Just because he doesn't live there.
He doesn't live there.
First
parents
home,
live there.
parents.
And that's
that.
it, so it won't change anything.
I guess moving around a lot of this paperwork.
Just have a permanent address versus than a PO box or something.
If it's just an address, then.
It's a property on 500 West.
That's
It's right on the corner, right?
520, yeah, but.
But
he's-
you said no trucks there. I mean, I don't know how big the lot is anyway. I think it's probably just a half acre, it might be an acre lot.
I think it's an art.
But he's not conducting business there. He just needs to be able to have a place for
He wants
his
Yeah. Place that just-
permanent place.
an address,
So,
so it's. You guys. know.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the home exemption request for, or home occupation
Variance.
exemption, yeah, variance for the property at 520 West, 4050 North.
I'll second that motion.
A motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, planning commission recommendations on item number 5, but we'll handle these in 2 separate issues. Item number A is a general plan amendment consideration for the petition of a general plan amendment for 169 acres of land in rural residential. It's currently A5 to very low density residential, current acceptable zone RE20 at approximately 4,300 north, 1,100 west, and this will be ordinance 2025-2. And Amy, are you gonna cover that?
Yes, I'll present, and the petitioners are here and also have presentations on these. I'll be.
So we're gonna address these individually.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, making sure.
Let me open my. Confused with the computer.
Why wasn't this one working? Ladder? I'll turn this in.
Sorry. Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, so before you this evening are 2 items that have gone to recommendation for planning commission. I'll address the first item first on your agenda. So the first item is a consideration for a general plan amendment for Hillside Villages East. This property applicant, Jeffrey Harrison, the owners are listed on the memo, and it's 169 acres of land. Parcels are listed also on the memo and were properly noticed. So the current general plan designation is 1 dwelling unit per every 5 acres. The zone that could be applied in that designation would be A5. The focus is kind of that density designation, not so much the zones this evening. And their proposal is to move to very low density residential, and that would consist of 1 to 2 dwelling units per acre, with the current applicable zone for that being RE20. And so right now, the city council is considering the planning commission's recommendation for this. And so the planning commission reviewed this item and held a public hearing. There were several comments provided that are included in your memo. And the planning commission's meeting resulted in a recommendation of denial. There was a further recommendation that the city put in place a master plan community overlay zone. And 2 commissioners, Wilkinson and Morris, voted against the recommendation of denial. So it wasn't unanimous in recommending denial. So with regard to the proposal in the area, kind of gave a summation of that. The proposal is recommending a master planned community development that emphasizes integrated open space and trail system. It has a clustered density in the design characteristics of this to it relative to the rural characteristics, and also supports completion of the road master plan. Public open house was held by the developers on July the 16th, collecting feedback from the residents and stakeholders, and they had vision boards present. It was basically an effort to engage with residents on the proposals and some of the concepts they were looking at with the master plan community. So with that, and looking at the general plan, there's a couple of pieces here. The proposed community is located north of 4300 North. And there's language in the general plan that talks about the density there, and I'll kind of get into that below, but it conflicts with the very low density residential designation that's being requested. Sorry. As it describes that being located north of the canal, to have that limited into a rural residential designation is what the general plan indicates, in addition to what's being proposed and brought forward as general plan amendment. And it's important to note that any forthcoming development would also be required to protect view sheds and limit disturbance to sensitive lands, features, geologic formations, watershed areas, slopes. All of those things would be addressed at the subdivision level. So this is really just looking at density and appropriateness of the density in this area. And so there's an important piece of this as well. The proposed land does include a portion of land that's not currently within city limits, but it is in the city's annexation plan. So it's anticipated to be part of the city at some point in time. And so that would likely, if this were to move forward, become part of the process, whether it be a subdivision, but some type of annexation proposal with that to have it cohesive and part of an entire parcel for development. And it does run along Skyline Drive and does provide for some ability for activity there. The Planning Commission public hearing notes were addressed prior. So I'll show you the map here, but this shows kind of that breakdown of where the property is relative to the future land use map designation. So you see it is that rural residential 5 that it is designation currently. Below it is the very low density residential, which is what's being requested above. And then with regard to the zoning map that is currently zoned the A5 in relation to the general plan. And then this shows the annexation plan. And so there is a piece at the top that would be part of that. And the road master plan shows that there is a road extending north-south through the parcel, and then also obviously Skyline Drive is part of that. So I don't know if there's any questions of me, and then we do again have the developer here with the presentation.
Would you like to invite the applicant? Definitely give you a couple minutes of time for sure.
Yeah, thank you. So I come in peace. I know we have a passionate community here, and I've enjoyed coming to your meetings over the last, I think it's been 18 months that I've been meeting with Sarah and Amy to try to come up with what the best plan is. So we have this 169 acres. My father-in-law, I think a year ago, had tried to break off like 10 acres and put 20 units up there without changing the zoning, and felt like he was in a block. And Cecil said, well, hey, we're working well with Sarah and Amy, and why don't you join the meeting? So for the last 18 months, I've been meeting here on afternoons, and everybody's been great. Tried to listen to what kind of feedback we got from Ann and Sarah and how they visioned the hillside here in Pleasant View looking into the future. So I'm trying to find that vision and come up with a product that you guys like as a city. I know you guys love your city, and my children have gone to school at Weber High, and we live in Huntsville, but my family, my wife's family lives here, grew up here. You know, I want something good for your city. Next slide. So, yeah, basically, we're asking to change from A5, which, you know, it seems like that's been just a placeholder in your city, and there hasn't been a total science that, hey, this property would only support 1 unit per 5 acres, but that's where it currently is. Over the last 20 years, we've kind of bought 3 different parcels and put them together, so I don't think any of the recent times somebody's owned the whole 169 acres. And as you know, the gravel pits to the west of us, and then we have half-acre lots to the south and east of us. Next slide. The property, these are some drone views of it, is really quite flat. At the planning commission meeting, one of the commissioners said it's a ski hill. I can't imagine that you would drive up it, but I just came down 500, and I would say that any place on 500 is steeper than the slope on this property. Next. It's beautiful. It has great views. It's a big, wide open piece of property that it's kind of an empty canvas that can be cut up how hopefully we can decide as a group to do it. Next slide. That's 1100 West, bisecting the property. Next slide. Again, that's the property that Amy had showed you. So again, 1100 bisects the middle of the southern boundary is 4300 or Skyline Drive.
Do you own all the way up to the National Forest?
No, there's a couple other private owners,
Above
I
it?
think, on the north side. Next slide. This was the developer that we bought the, he doesn't have a pointer, do you? This was the original plan that we had bought part of the property from some guys in Vegas that had proposed this Sunset Highlands back in 2006. And they had, you know, I think this was all commercial down here on 4300, and then a series of half-acre lots basically covering the entire property with no trails, no real open space, just house after house. The church owned this 5 acres, and I assume they plan to put a church there. This is, you know, what I think people have referred to as sensitive lands, or on the eastern side where the water source, one of the water sources for Pleasant View are these wells to the south of it. And so I think some attention to not contaminating those wells, although, you know, we've had gravel trucks driving across there and brining the road over the top of the wells over the last 20 years. And we've been cattle on the property as well that I'm sure isn't great for the water system. But in any event, this is the old. Next slide. You know, my observations of coming up here over the last 18 months is that your 2700 is extremely congested. When I come up here at rush hour to try to make the 5 o'clock meeting, it's been difficult. The 4300 obviously needs to get finished out to the west, and you know, our whole state needs smart growth, including Pleasant View. So this was the team we met with Mayor Paul, Amy, Dana, Brandon, I think's left, Tyson's been the majority of the meetings, and Sarah and Ian. Next slide.
And just to note for the record, Ann Arrington did just join the meeting, so.
we listened to, Ann and Sarah. It was a thoughtful process. We did, have an open public comment night here in July and had the citizens kind of grade what they liked and didn't like of some of the, development concepts. Next slide. It was very important to Sarah and Ann, they really protect their neighbors' home values. They wanted to protect the hillside. They were, adamant about protecting the water source. They wanted to be in control of the neighborhood. They wanted to preserve the wildlife habitat on the hill and preserve stream beds and mitigate flooding with any future development. This was my understanding. One thought they had both, Ann and Sarah had visited this Hill Farms out in West Kaysville and said, hey, we really like that community. It has nice open parks. There's a variety of, density in the housing, different size houses, big open and sidewalks, and suggested that I go look at that. My wife and I went and drove through it, and it's a wonderful development. I thought it was great. It has a lot of back alleyways of loading. It's a different concept. Yeah, it's very nice and interesting because there's a real variety of homes in there. There's some very small lots, and then there's big, half-acre lots in the back with multi-million-dollar homes, and then smaller patio and step-up homes and it's not very big. I mean, it's probably a total of I bet 25 acres. Yeah, Hill Farms.
Isn't it Kaysville Farms or is it?
Hill Farm is the
Yeah,
name,
I
yeah.
took that picture
Have
because it
common
says-
backyards, pocket little.
Yeah, and you
parks
and the
it's really
the
quite
homes kind of
nice. Trail.
face into lots of trails. It's a very, very nice feel, different than a lot of our other developments. Next slide. This is just another kind of vision, and all the homes were different. They were kind of all upscale, but and there was a lot of home ownership. We went right before Christmas, and everybody had wreaths up, and it had a very nice feel. Next up, yeah, and different colored homes. It did it the whole thing, and they kind of reminds you of Sugar House with these not just solid driveways. It has kind of a homey feel to it.
I'm sorry.
And I think most of us want housing for our, right? What the kids are making coming out of college or high school doesn't really meet up to what these houses cost. I think all of us like houses for our parents. They don't necessarily want to live in their 6,000 square foot house after their children have left. Mixed density community is what we heard. A lot of open space and trails. I think we went over that. So, the idea of working with Satterwhite's was, meet the future needs, preserve what's great in your community, really provide the best place for families to live here in Pleasant View, and provide housing options for our family members. My math's a little off here. It's actually 169 acres. So at A5, that would be 34 units. At A2, it would allow for 85 units. 1 acre would allow 169 units. If they were 3/4 acre density, 225 units, and half acre would go all the way up to 338 units. Next slide. Eric, you want to explain this one? So Eric's a land planner that Satterwhite Group had employed to help with the other development you hear about, but Eric came up with these plans.
Yeah, Eric Langbart, 336 West Broadway in Salt Lake City, and have been working with both of these teams for a while in the city, and everything Jeff says is true about how fun it's been and the input that we've received. And that really did lead us to this plan that, as you can see here, and north is to the left is for with 4300 there on the right-hand side. But the whole idea here was to take the density and not just fill the entire site up. And so clustering this with lots, and you can kind of see, if you can translate what Jeff was showing in the photos to the plan view, especially in the dark green, you can see some of these alley loaded opportunities that create open space that's shared by everybody. This plan has basically, 2 to 3 different size of lots. So the density here is the 1 acre per density, 167.
This is the one.
This is the 1 acre.
This one, I think this is actually the 225.
No,
Is this the 3/4 or the one?
This is.
This is the one.
No, that's fine. Okay, yeah.
So starting with one of those options, this being the 1 acre plan, you can see that a substantial amount of open space is also preserved. And so what that gives you are visual preservation. It gives you, more efficient, all the things that we're talking about, conservation, more efficient water use. We don't have acre lots that have a bunch of turf that really aren't, contributing to, societal,
The red lines are trails.
the red lines are trails, and there's opportunities for trail nodes, but some of the bigger elements here, that big piece on the top of the page there is that corridor that your documents, your environmental studies is preserving. It's that drainage way that is directly linked to the water source. And so we actually said, look, it makes more sense to take that density and basically just do this. And it's less infrastructure, it's less snow removal, but it's also more community. And that's one of the big things that we strive for. And so you take this and you go back to that plan that Jeff had shown that was done in 2006, and you can really see the difference. This plan is, the one thing with this, and Jeff, I hope you don't, but, versus the 225 plan, which would be the 0.75, we do lose some of that smaller lot because of the, it's just less density. And so these are a little bit more of a moved product or a state size lot. But I think where did it end up? Was 40%? Oh, this was 60. 100 acres, I think, was that?
Yeah, 97.
Okay. Yeah, I had my numbers back. So 60% open space. 100 of the 109 acres is in open space, and it's, I think Jeff and his family have committed to that. It's not private, it's public trails, it's, accessible, it can connect to the neighbors as they develop, or as the city, puts in master trail connections. There's just a lot of advantages there. And I know Jeff wanted me to comment about the ski hill comment. It's actually ideal topography. Your roads contemplate up to 12%. Most of these are well under that at 8 or 10%. It's very buildable. You will have walkouts and walkups, uphill and downhill type units, but it's ideal in order to take advantage of the views and also still not create just substantial retaining walls on the sides. We think it's a great plan. I don't know if you have the 225 unit plan in there, Jeff.
I don't think
Talk
it's
through that.
I don't know.
If you want to share it with those guys.
I think you messaged it to me.
It's what's in the packet.
Yeah.
So. Gotcha. Sorry, can you get on the mic? Because we have a council member on the phone. Sorry, no worries.
So after the planning commission meeting, the feedback that I got, we had just kind of a general, this is where the homes would be and this would be open space. And it seemed like everybody was like, well, if you get half acre, you're gonna go for 338 lots. That's where you're locked in. And I was like, hey, I don't need 338 lots. I'm flexible. What I heard from Ann and Sarah was, hey, we would like some smaller lots for our kids and parents up there. The less lots you get, the more luxury lots and more expensive they're gonna get. So, I mean, I would love some feedback from you guys on, hey, this is how we want it. I think Eric can come up with best plan on how that fits on the property. I think I think it's a really, the more I look at it, and after being at Hill Farms, like, that'd be a place I'd like to live. I think the views are unbelievable up there. I hadn't spent a whole lot of time on it over the last 20 years, but since this has stimulated. I've been driving around there. You know, it's fantastic. I see why you guys like living in Pleasant View. It's great views of, Ben Lomond. It's great views of the lake. It's a great, it would be a nice addition, I would think, to your community. Next slide.
We call it a pleasant view.
Pleasant View.
Sorry. Oh,
So, you know, by doing a master plan community versus, as my father-in-law had tried it 10 acres at a time, I think we can ensure that the utilities are adequate. Hopefully get Skyline Drive for the people that live east of there, give them a shortcut to Maddox.
Which
60
is, that should have been number one.
Well, yeah, that's what I've heard when I've talked to some patients in my office is there, oh, I love that. We could avoid having to go down.
Have you not ever eaten
700
there?
No, I go to Maddox all the time.
Okay.
It's a regular with my in-laws. And I think the key is the access to the foothills. I mean, that was the one thing I kept hearing from Ann and Sarah is we want access to foothills. Like, we don't have any access to it right now. It's fenced off. You know, there is no access, but if we did develop it and had all those trails up there, I think hopefully it would make a healthier community up here where people could hike and it's a big hike to get around 170 acres.
Used to do it.
Yeah, and it's got a little grade to it. Next slide.
sorry.
We don't know of any geological issues. We don't know of any soil issues up there. There is the water on the east side and we would protect that and would be putting a conservation easement on the open space to ensure that in perpetuity.
Quick question though, because of the location of the property, they would have to do a geotech study, right?
Correct. So at
Just
subdivision,
to go back.
there's a lot of different elements that come into play, and this area would classify as one of our sensitive lands, and so that portion of the ordinance would come into play in consideration for subdivision.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just for that consideration.
Yeah, and I've heard there's some hard rock up there as well. The water's always a concern. We have been filing secondary watershed to feel like we have adequate water.
Do you have a lot of those shares
We do.
already?
Yeah, we have. Why now, you know, provide housing for some of my nieces and nephews? You know, more options for the elderly. I think having it as one parcel, it's gonna be easier and allow us to put in a trail network. Next slide.
What is the water source, the water shares that you have?
North Ogden Canal.
You pump it to
Oh.
there or
What's that?
you're pumping it to there from the
Well,
property?
what
from
would
there?
happen, actually, we've talked to Pineview. Pineview is just east of there, and they've said if we have enough density that they could provide Pineview water, we could trade our water. Is our understanding. Types of homes, single-family homes, estate lots, step-up homes, and patio homes. Again, abundance of trails, open space, parks.
We need more parks. in our city.
Yeah, current option is to build 33 estate lots, and maybe there's some California people that would like to buy those type of lots now, unfortunately. But not allow for access, public access. You know, I think that would be just kind of squared off, I guess, equestrian lots. And you'd have animal waste and water purification needs and would be somewhat unaffordable. Next slide. You know, the state, I guess they keep saying they're going to, you know, change and you lose local input. Next slide. You know, and if we sell the property, I think there'd be higher pressure here from guys that have to make interest payments. They're gonna wanna do it piecemeal. They won't be able to plan for open space. The utilities won't be upsized, and lack of public trails. So, you know, I'm really asking for maybe something you don't have, is a master plan community that gets approved by the city. I don't think and so I've asked the R20 designation, which would be 1 to 2 units per acre. And anywhere in between there, I really don't feel, maybe Eric, you could speak to density since you're you're maybe more verse in density than most of us are. Maybe a couple comments, with other areas in the state.
Yeah, it really kind of comes down to a little bit what we talked about was that, fewer really large lots benefit just a few people. And I think that finding the happy medium of more density gives you the opportunity for the variety in the lot sizes. And what we see, to me, anything over an acre is a really problematic size with our water concerns and with our infrastructure and our maintenance concerns. And so that's where I think we were, looking at that half acre to 3/4 acre average, but condensed. And so you get more affordability, you get more diversity, you get more open space. And so, the other thing is that these developments do, cost a good amount of money to put that infrastructure in, whether it's new tanks or, all of those things are great to add onto your system. And I know we've been talking with Tyson, Sarah, and Ann along the way. But there really is that kind of tipping point where you go from too few large lots to a good number of, say, sensibly sized. And, I think that a couple slides ago, that the housing diversity is obviously a big thing that the state is trying to get after. I know you guys are hearing that quite often. And, so we think that kind of 3/4 acre average density is sweet. So it gives you all of those kind of things.
There's that concept that you share also where the average would be an acre
Yes.
as well. And
Yeah,
so,
that's the one we looked at.
yeah,
And what happens with that one is that you sort of lose opportunity, even at 60% open space. Those are still probably just two product types. So, the previous version, I think Jeff had shared maybe was we had an opportunity for another size or two. No townhomes, but just a little bit smaller lot, which isn't dissimilar from that Hill Farms.
in the 3/4 acre one.
Yeah, the 3/4 acre makes 225 lots.
That's right.
And I had him first about that, and then
Mhm.
Sarah said, well, show me what one acre density would look like.
Mhm.
At the 3/4 acre density, he said we have 85, more luxury lot, like, a 1/3 to 4/10 of an acre lot, and then 75, step-up lots and 65 patio homes. That gets you up to like 225 versus at the 169, there's like 100 luxury lots and then 69 step-up lots.
So what was the smallest lot size then? Was it quarter or less?
Quarter. I think it was a quarter.
Previously?
No,
With
on
the,
this,
with the
yeah.
3/4, with the
Yeah,
3/4.
these were, the average of the smaller lots was a 1/4 acre. There were some that were just a touch smaller and some that were,
As far as the ratio,
yes.
it's
Yeah.
not that it would be on a 3/4 of an acre. It's
Right.
just the ratio that ends up with open space versus the
Yeah,
cluster.
When you cluster, you get that quarter, it's a quarter to basically a 1/3 acre average. for those
Well,
two
I have
properties.
a question, if I can ask Amy, is that okay? In our discussions about what she's working on. So in all these discussions with what you have proposed, we don't have, like you said, anything on our books that say 1 acre or anything. We have RE15, RE20, A2, A5, and working on a patio home zone. So Amy's been working on what we'll call the missing middle, a 1 acre zone, but is there a way to adjust that to allow a 3/4 of an acre to 1 acre?
So I'd give a little hesitant in jumping that specific because as long as, and you're right, there's not a good definitive in our community character piece of our general plan classification for 1 acre designation. But I mean, going to 3/4, that falls within some of the other ranges. And what Mr. Harrison is proposing is, 1 to 2 units per acre. So it's still in that 1 acre realm, but if you'd like 1 unit per acre, then there is a gap there that we need to fill into our general plan.
And that's what you've been working on.
Yes, well, what I've been working on, and this is actually at the council's direction, is there's a few different pieces that we have some gaps in the density, and so it doesn't fully address all of the plausible or possible densities that could exist, and there's certain acreages that don't have specifications, and so that was the council's direction a couple of months ago, and we do have a piece ready to move forward to planning commission on that.
Do you have anything else you want?
Go ahead.
Do you have anything else you want to say before we
Well,
make our comments?
Just, you were asking the size of the lots. I had these guys yesterday cut it up. So if it was 1 acre, 1 unit per acre density, they came up with 103 estate lots, 64 move-up lots. The estate lots average 0.3 acres, the move-up lots average 0.23 acres. I would give 5 acres of parks and 94 acres of just open space up there, a total of 169. Yeah, and I think the biggest lots were like a half an acre.
How much open space for 3/4 acre?
Well, if the 3/4 acre, yeah, it's the same amount of open space. You squeeze down with.
So you have
smaller-
smaller options.
You have you have more smaller if you go to the 3/4 acre option, you have more units, but they're smaller and they fit in the
So you have the same amount of open space.
same amount of open space and same amount of trails. So
How many more homes is it?
it is
220
50
versus
houses.
50 houses more?
What was it, 220 something?
225.
5 versus
Yeah, it would
one.
go from 169 to 225, so what, 60?
And what would most of those other ones be?
Patio and step up.
What is a step up home?
Well, it's like a quarter, yeah, 0.2, like a 0.258, it'd probably be like a 2,500 square foot house or something.
No, that's a good designation that the open space would remain the same.
Yeah, but
But
you
you
still
would
have
have a
big
little bit
open
more.
space.
Well, thank you. Is
Thank
that-
Yeah, I'm good.
So I want to start out, if that's okay, it's my privilege as Mayor Pro Tem. I love the planned community thing, and I think that's the direction that this piece is gonna have to go. I appreciate the work that you've done, honestly, from my one little slot here. I like that, the layout that you provided here with a lot of that open space around and the mixed use, or not mixed use, but mixed sizes. I think there's a huge need for patio homes in our community. I would think that'd be a good place to have that up on the rock, not have to have basements and things. My concerns is our traffic. And 4,300 we've got to get that in sooner than later. I know we have part B is gonna address some of that as well, of our thing here. But, you bring another 200 people in, 2 or 3, 4 drives, that's another 1,000 people coming up and down our limited 500, 1,100, 900. I worry about that. And I think that's a big thing for our city. So we need to get 4,300 done to have a nice quick way to Maddox. So that is an issue that I have. Water, you've got a lot of water planned for, Pine View. Before I say yes, I want to see some of that because we have to have secondary water there. That has to be, we have to have secondary water. We don't have enough. And I even worry about your culinary water source.
Update our capital facilities.
Well, it's a big issue. Where you can get the water, where you can get the culinary water from. Wells are all below that. So that, that's a big issue. Parks, we talked a little bit about that. I don't know, a lot of these new communities have little teeny parks, green space, but they're not a park where you can play Frisbee or football or, pickleball or something. I go down to St. George and they've got a lot of green space stuff, but it's not a park as far as I'm concerned.
Parks
Like parks, and we need, maybe not for sports, but just, to get out and do something other than just walk. I love it. Yeah, I don't know. I would hope, we definitely need I love the idea of the paths and the access to the hillside up there. We don't have that. We have one little access that we've got up to the power line trail and that's it. So I really like that. Patio homes, again, water. I hate when you say housing for our children, because these are not gonna be affordable housing up there. I don't know what you're thinking of, but $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 houses. My kids can't afford that. But just to say, I don't know, that chaps my hide a little bit when they say that, because all, these are gonna be, very expensive lots up there. And maybe it'll pull some of the people out from below to make room for affordable housing somewhere down below, possibly. But I don't like that. I think the elderly people, I've had a lot of people call me, say, Steve, I want to live in Pleasant View, but I can't take care of the yard. So I do agree with that, patio homes. That's needed in our community for the elderly people that are moving, that are getting older, that want to stay in our beautiful Pleasant View. I'm not to that point yet. I still love to mow my lawn. That's my,
Heck, if this, I
That's-
would move into a caseball farm community and.
Well, anyway, I think we've got to come up with some plans for a planned community. I don't think we have anything on the books. I know that's there, but that's another reason why I can't say that I'm gonna support it tonight. But I do want to, for me personally, I like what you're doing. This is really the first comprehensive plan that I've had come forward for this piece of property. Personally, I've denied it twice, maybe 3 times, I don't know, over the years. Carson, he screamed at me my first council meeting. Back then, we had a big talk remember that? Out in that's the first time I met Carson, and I said, what's going on? He says, well, you're something I can't repeat on public meeting, but anyway, so I do appreciate that, and I don't want you to go, depending on how the vote goes today, I don't want you to go away and say it's all for naught, because I really think that this is gonna personally be a path forward if we can get, some language and some protections for the city. I like the mixed size. I just think that makes sense. Not just a big, 2 acres, 5 acres isn't what's needed anymore in this world. And it is a placeholder. You're exactly right. It's a place to protect that hillside. And so I don't know what to think about that. I'm a little conflicted because we do need something, and hopefully the staff is going to present us. We've asked for that. Hillside patios and stuff like that. So where are we on that?
So I think a really important clarification for this evening and why the developers are here at the stage that they are is we told them the very first step is always general plan amendment.
Yeah.
And so if the density doesn't match what you want to do, that's your biggest hurdle. That's the biggest thing. And so that's where we're at tonight is what is the appropriate density?
Yeah,
for the
but general plan, goes to the next step, obviously.
For a reason.
And so then, but it all kind of lines up, and
Certainly.
I don't want to give something here and then stop it going forward. I
No
wanna
question. I think,
I want to have stuff in
But
line.
we are working on a master plan overlay. We're in the process of that.
correct,
So-
correct. So we do have an ordinance that's underway, but right now, it's hard to kind of know how best to craft that too, depending on what the densities are involved here. And so it's a little bit of a chicken before the egg thing because
I get it.
it's, what is the appropriate amount of units on the property? And then from there, working from that.
There it is.
So I love everything about the master plan. I think that's awesome and what you're trying to do there. I kind of echo what Steve's saying though. To me, if we, and I guess these are problems we got to solve in the future, but the water and the roads both. And those are 2 big issues. From a density standpoint, I think in my personal opinion is that 2 units per acre is too dense for that. But I'm really not opposed to a 1 acre, and I'm probably even the 3/4 acre density. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning more there. Cause I like the open space and I do like the flexibility of the different lot sizes and accommodating all sorts of different people who want to, for me, I got an acre and a half. I want a 2 acre. I want the 5 acre lot, but I can't afford that right now. So, but, yeah, and I don't know that I know we've had an open house. I unfortunately was not able to attend that, but I do think there still needs to be, for all of the property above 4,300, there still needs to be more community vetting I do think there needs to be more community involvement in that. And so maybe that requires more open houses or more public hearing for that, but I'm open for that, but I love where it is. I'm just not sure where the density needs to be at this point. I mean, cause
What's gonna make us, roll the dice here tonight? I mean, what's gonna set that for the
I don't know,
council?
maybe Sarah has something that he wants to.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
I
Sarah,
ha-
you've been dying.
Ken wants to talk. Let's let her-
I also have comments too after Sarah's done, so.
Go ahead, and we'll give you your time. I'm sorry, I forgot you were there. Your chair doesn't look it looks empty.
I'm sorry too, I'm losing my voice, so put up with my crazy voice, but, Sarah and I have had the benefit of meeting with with Jeff Harrison and his team for, over half a dozen times. So I think for some of you, if you're hearing it the first time, it's a lot to swallow and think about, but, bottom line is like, what is best for Pleasant View City in this area? We know it's going to develop. It's only a matter of time where it's going to develop. And I really feel like, we've denied it piece by piece because that wouldn't work for Pleasant View. But I think this master plan community, this is the first time that's been presented to us. And Jeff Harrison came to us and said, I want to develop this. What will work? So they've really been like, you tell us, like, what do you want? What do you want here? We're going to try to make happen. So with that master plan community, like they said, I mean, the open space, he's talking like 94 acres of open space and clustering. I love that idea. I totally love it. And I also love that everything's single dwelling unit, no townhomes. Like, I think that is a huge, huge component that is a positive for me. I think this could be a really big win-win for the city and also for, developing that spot just in a way we want it to look. We've been working on a missing middle, and I think, I guess, what is our goal? If our goal is to work on the missing middle, then we need to bump this up to a few more, houses per, the average. It's not that there's going to be a house on a quarter acre, but I mean, just, everybody knows what we're saying there. But so I guess, on the density, do we want our kids to afford it? Do I want my, marrieds and grandkids to come in here? Or are we going to try and keep it a little more exclusive? I don't know, but that's something to think about. But I think as far as like 4,300, the developer would have to contribute to that. And that's kind of part of the win-win is they would have to help with the infrastructure, the roads. And if we get to a point where, they're going to have to prove that water's going to work, even if we approve this tonight and they come back and water's not going to work, they can't build on it. Like that's on their shoulders, right? So anyway, I appreciate how Jeff's gone about this. And for me, I'm pro master plan community and I'll be voting yes.
I second everything that Ann said. I've talked with Jeff a lot and he has been very considerate and very sensitive to what our city wants and what our city needs. He's not looking just about, this piece of property and their investment. He's looking at what is in the best interest of Pleasant View, like Ann just started out. He really, truly is. If we've said, hey, we don't like this or whatever else, and it's not a matter of like, we don't think it's in the best interest. Jeff has gone back to the drawing board, come back. Same with Cecil and Brett Satterthwaite. They've all been very good partners with our city staff and with the, administration and legislative branch of this city. My thoughts, because planning commission did recommend a denial of, this particular application. I don't want Jeff to have to go back to the drawing board as far as starting. I do want him to go back to the drawing board, even though he's been doing that. I don't want him to have to start all over again. So here's a couple ways that I could see this going. We can table this and we can send it back to planning commission, ask them to reconsider the same proposal with an addition of 1 acre lots that Amy has been working on. Amy's been working on that ordinance and she could have that before planning commission because planning commission has to make a recommendation on it regardless if we can 1 acre lots. The only proposal before us tonight is RE20. And so either we table it or we approve it or deny it. And if we don't feel comfortable with RE20, let's let the commission have another opportunity to review it. It won't take that long with the 1 acre consideration, and it opens up a public hearing again. To address some of Dave's concerns, that the public hearing will be noticed, the community gets to come and have their input again to look at this master plan, because I'm 100% convinced that master plan is the only solution to that hillside and doing it right. Tyson and I have been talking about this for years. And when this, group of people came and talked to us, it was like music to my ears. It has to be a master plan community, because you work in partnership with the city, and the city has the control and the developer has the control, and you get the product you want. It's kind of foreign up here because we don't do it as much, but they do this in Utah County and Salt Lake County all the time. And so we can do it if we do it the right way. And it still offers the protections that the city needs. It's a win-win. And so I would say if we need some more public input and a chance to really look at this, in talking with Jeff, he seemed to be willing to consider having this be tabled to put it back to planning commission.
And Councilmember Yuri,
Yes.
In thinking about the question you asked earlier, and I'm not trying to sway the conversation
Right.
one way or the other, but I think if there was a desire to have that specified as, 3/4 to an acre,
Sure.
that would be possible. I
Yes,
wanna
3/4
dismiss or
to the
diminish
acre,
your
absolutely.
abilities.
No, 3/4 to the acres, because actually with a half acre, the RE20, you can do 1 to 2 acre, 1 to 2 units per acre right now. And the density, really, the topography, the infrastructure needs and things like that will control the density. They have to meet the, the city standards and things like that. And so even the proposal, the concept doesn't mean they'll get that. And so that, if there's a little bit of a, reservation in that, give the public another opportunity. Don't make him start his application again. And let's table it if you're not ready to approve what is before
I
you.
do have a question on that. So it's saying 1 to 2 units per acre. Is the master plan zoned only? Is it showing a zone, or is it showing units
Just-
per acre?
just density.
It's in.
Because
that's-
1 to 2 units meets what they're trying to get
it's
tonight.
true. Yeah.
But RE20, I don't.
That is RE20,
Half acre lots.
isn't it? The-
So,
the acreage
so
is RE20.
what's being proposed before you this evening does meet that density, but there's no, with the general plan amendment, no plans of fix. There's nothing being approved or locking in. And so you would have a maximum of up to a half of an acre with the way that the designation is.
So it doesn't control that to stay at.
Correct.
1 unit.
Well,
You
you
don't
you just have that. So your little plan that you had here that this gentleman put together that was an acre.
The
Per,
one that he just showed us. Yes.
that,
but
yeah,
I
see,
texted you the 3/4.
so if we can change that,
Yeah.
I might accept that to be 1 acre.
So you'd have to go back to planning.
Well,
So-
it's still gonna have to go back to planning commission, but we
Yeah.
could approve a 1 acre, but I have are you finished? No, you're never
Am I
finished.
ever finished? No. Keep going.
Amy,
Keep
what,
going.
what is because, this is the density, I understand that, and we're not changing things, but when this master plan, because I'm not familiar with the master plan community layout, rules,
We don't have any.
all those different things.
Aside from clustering, our ordinance does address
So,
clustering.
yeah,
require
we can have a
development agreement.
cluster, but this is above, or this is the next generation of clustering, I mean, really. It's a master plan, so by approving this tonight, what is on the city for that? Is that do we still need to have a master plan community ordinance or zone
Certainly.
or something?
So approving
So-
this tonight would ultimately say that the general plan sanctions development in this level of density. It doesn't lock in the level
No,
of
it
density.
says
There's
it-
no vested rights. It says that the master plan supports density from half acre lots to acre lots. And
Is-
as recommendations come forward,
Without having acre lots,
Because
right?
I'd feel comfortable putting an acre lot or something, just not going down to half acre lots.
so because.
Even though there'll be some open space with that, I just,
It's the same amount of open space, it just reduces the home space.
yeah, it takes the homes down. I don't know. That kind of what your thoughts are?
Can we approve 1 acre designation tonight and kick it back?
I don't know, because it's a range, I don't know.
Well, and the challenge is we don't have a range that's just acre lots, so I don't know what you lock it into because there's nothing in the general plan that addresses just singular acre lots. And I mean, again, that's that kind of proposal that will be coming back forward.
So would it be good to table then and get some of our ducks in a row? Or, I mean, I mean, I agree. I don't want them to start all over.
Commission has to make that recommendation. The thing before us tonight is either you approve half-acre designation or you don't. Only way that we can
Well,
get.
but Amy
this,
just said, or.
we have to table it.
That we could do 1 acre.
You don't have to table it. Well,
Yeah,
well,
we
if,
can do-
so
we
if
can
you,
do
if
1
you approve the proposal as is, it has a range of half acre to a single acre. But when a rezone were to occur, I mean, that doesn't lock you in necessarily on, you could say, well, we actually prefer the acre or the 3/4 acre
So.
when that happens or when that ordinance comes forward.
'Cause-
So the, oh,
yeah,
sorry.
No, I just don't want to be locked into that, or, to have that. I'd rather have it be 1 acre and let's change our mind to half acre later.
Then
Right,
we
and so that would require tabling and sending it back to planning commission.
It would cost them another couple weeks and that's it.
And you're the voice of reason.
Oh my heck.
What
I
do
don't
you
have a
think?
voice. I don't have a voice tonight, let alone voice of
Well,
reason.
then you're not the voice of reason. What good are you?
No, I just think, well, if we're saying if we approve this, then they can build anywhere from half to 1 acre lots. We're talking to him about doing 3/4 acres or half acres,
Well, they're
And- but
still
it-
gonna be able to do smaller lots because, I mean, it's just the amount of homes that are gonna be in that area.
Okay, and so I go back to what we were talking about. What is our final goal? Are we trying to bring in the missing middle? Or are we just trying to have like some larger,
Well,
so that's, I
well,
guess
the
that's what's our
missing- the-
goal.
I mean, the missing middle, they're still gonna have patio homes. They're probably gonna be 1/4 acre lots up there that,
Yeah,
that's.
But not as many, right?
So,
That's
so,
right.
so, so,
It
so
would
it's just the amount of homes that are gonna be there. And I'm just saying,
Yeah.
an acre lot gives us how many homes?
167.
169 or whatever it is versus 200 and.
Versus 25. And
So
I
I'm
think
just saying, I'm
yeah.
comfortable going with that 169. Because there are gonna be some smaller lots, and it's not,
Yes.
it's just the density of that 160 acres. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and you might have I don't know, what's an 1/8 acre lot, I don't.
Yeah, and I mean.
I don't
and
really
think
care.
if you- Yeah, and if you guys would approve, if you would approve this, then we could put resources to say, hey, we have this much money to pay for 4,300 to go through. right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, I
then
haven't,
gotta put
can we
the
approve it
math.
with the caveat of, not the caveat,
Later.
with
Then
you
you-
directing.
you
me
gotta
to make
approve
the
it.
Oh, no, I get it. I'm
Fine.
trying to, I mean, I'm
we
on your
approve
side.
this?
Know that, I hope. I'm not saying negative.
I hope.
So
Well, and
We can't-
me personally, like when we talk about the 169 versus the 225, so we're looking at 1 acre versus 3/4 acre. Honestly, like I'm kind of leaning to the 3/4, So, I mean, I guess whatever we do tonight, I don't want that to lock it out tonight by voting, one way or another.
Hey, staff, how do we do that then?
So
What's clean with it? I don't know.
if you're comfortable with the 3/4 and the acre, you're still gonna get a couple more shakes at this. This isn't finite. This is the general plan. So this is saying this range is acceptable. So all of the different cities discussed tonight are still within this range. And so once a rezone comes forward, you can say, actually, we wanted a little bit lower density in this area within that range.
So then they
When,
propose that rezone.
and with a rezone requires a concept to be submitted with that. So you'd understand better the density.
So if we vote yes on this tonight, they
Yes.
still have to come back with us with a concept plan. We can still go anywhere from half to 3/4 to 1. Is that right?
Correct.
And they would have, and part of their application, part of them coming back for the rezone would ask to create a 3/4 zone or 1 acre zone.
Well, it's just the amount of homes, and I think we should just stick with 169 or 225.
I think
or whatever that is, because that's really
Well-
where it goes, because it doesn't matter, I mean, the acres are just the density that we're gonna have on that piece
We
of
don't
property.
control that with this. We just say one.
I know.
units. This goes
Well,
from
that-
1 to 2 units per acre. and so
Well,
And I
I-
think this gets you the option
I actually,
to decide that at the next.
I actually think
That's-
that that's a good idea.
That's exactly what I walked up here to do, because I think the other thing that I want to inject in there is that's when you start talking development agreement. And that you're ensuring that we are going to cluster it.
Well,
Well,
that would
if
be
it-
part of the master plan overlay, but we have to
it's-
ask,
but
get a
it's at That
zone.
next step too, where
Yes.
that conversation really gets
if,
more.
if
involved.
this passes, just know that I'm looking, I like the acre lot. I like that look, I like the feel.
Yes.
And I think this.
And
solution
so-
gives
So when
us-
you come to ask for the zone,
Just,
It gives us the opportunity to have that conversation.
you want me to make a motion?
all right, I think we've,
And those types of statements you are welcome to include in your motion with that. I mean, you know, for the record that,
Yeah,
hey,
I'm
this,
just-
I'll make it. I'll say that if you want me to.
no, that's not.
Okay,
I just-
whatever.
That's not an official motion, but,
Oh, it's just a comment.
I was a comment, I know, but, all right, let's make a motion.
Sure. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, I'd like to make a motion to grant the amendment for, 169 acres of land from rural residential to very low density residential to RE 20 at approximately 4,300 north and 1,100 west, ordinance 2025-2.
I'll second.
Can you include the 1 to 2 units per unit?
And
or
with-
Not RE 20.
With
not just-
my comment, we're really focusing on the 1 to, 2 or 3/4 of an acre units per acre density. Obviously, we know that comes at the zone, the next level, but we know that staff is working on a 1 acre density zone. And
Stop for a minute, because we need,
got all that,
do you have the gist? Let's make,
that's with the council, that's what we're looking
let's
at.
make it clear. I don't want to have all this.
Well, I think you almost could just read the designation and stay with it, 1 to 2, but
Laurie, are you okay with the motion?
Basically just.
basically what's there.
All right.
As written.
We have a motion by Sarah,
If the motion is as written on the agenda, then I will second it.
and so we have a second by Ann. This is a roll call vote. Arrington,
Yes.
Gibson. Yes. Marriott,
Yes.
Nelson absent, Yuri.
Yes,
All right, go forward.
okay, a lot of faith
Okay,
in you.
item number 5,
This is historic, you guys.
5B,
We're all gonna be in a lot of trouble.
5B.
Yes. It's not, it's true.
okay, so
Carson, I expect my tires to be up.
Carson, don't be sharing this, not yet. Ever, you're here.
okay, the next item in application before you is similar. This is a development anticipated for the west-south portion of the hillside. General plan amendment request by Cecil Satterthwaite, approximately 97.7 acres of land. The parcels are listed in your packet at approximately 1950 West Pleasant View Drive. The current designation for this land is rural residential, so one dwelling unit for every 2 or 5 acres. And the reasoning for that is there's a blend, and I'll show you that on the future land use map, that has some 2-acre designations, some 5-acre designations. And the proposed general plan designation is low-density residential, 2 to 3 dwelling units per acre. And there are a few applicable zones there, RE 20 and RE 15. This is a general plan amendment to modify the future land use map and to adjust as listed above. And during the planning commission meeting, we had several comments on that are included within your packet. And the planning commission meeting resulted in a recommendation of approval. 2 commissioners, Gosner, voted to deny the motion, citing concerns with the requested density. And the planning commission's recommendation for approval was accompanied by a preference to utilize the RE 20 zoning. With regard to staff analysis, very similar to the prior, and looking at the general plan, we did find anything if this change were to be made to the general plan that is not consistent with other portions of the general plan. And again, this is a master planned community emphasizing integrating open space and trails. Development addresses increase in cluster density and designs that have rural character of the area and include supporting the completion of Skyline Drive. So this group was involved in that public open house that was held to gather that public feedback and the general plan considerations. Because this area is designated south of the canal, this would meet the classification for low density residential and the definitions included therein of the general plan. And just a really important note, and I mentioned this prior, but any forthcoming development would be required to protect view sheds, limit disturbances, sensitive land, natural features, including geologic formations, watershed areas, and slopes. And trail systems are incorporated in this design, but these are preliminary proposals and don't reflect an actual vetted proposal for consideration. So this has the definitions in your packet of the two different designations and the locations deemed appropriate for the placement of those based on the text language. And then this also includes some land that is in unincorporated Weber County. So because this is in the city's annexation plan, it is appropriate to review the land for general plan amendments as well. And a portion of the property is currently being utilized as a gravel mining area in operation. This is a use that would be deemed incompatible with the proposal for low density residential. But from what we understand, the proposal from the new group, and again, this is non-binding at this point in the consideration, would be to convert from the gravel mining operation to clustered residential units. And this does support the road master plan. I've got the map here that shows where this area is located, and this upper portion, I don't know what that is, mostly a triangle with a little carve out, is the portion that's included in the annexation plan. And I think 30. Thank you, Cecil. 30 for Ann. And then you'll see here, we're on the legend, it shows that we've got rural residential 5, so the portions of this that are green, and there's a little snippet over here, and then there's rural residential 2, and then these areas down here are already in the low density residential, so they don't require a modification to the general plan within that footprint. And this is the existing zoning for the property, and a large swath of this is the A5, but there are pieces that are some of the other zones as well. And this is your, again, annexation map. And road master plan, again, shows Skyline Drive cutting through portions of this property. This has been a partnership, as has been described, in trying to coordinate possible development with the planned roadway, and that's included in the concept proposal that's before you this evening. Yeah, no problem.
How much of that road is in that piece? So I know I'm missing some.
So if I scroll down, if you don't mind,
Okay.
yeah, sorry. No, you're just fine. They'd submitted this with their application, and I think it provides a good depiction of the road. You were right ahead of me. Yep. So you can see there's some utilization of that in the planning documents, and the petitioner is here, and we do have, there's a really good depiction of how the road would be incorporated into that. They do have a presentation this evening as well.
And do we own that piece, the first piece
Portions
of from outside of there?
of the upper,
No, the lower part.
oh, the lower part.
I think we own that.
Mm-hmm. But we don't. own the entire
Cecil,
unit.
who's putting that on the present? Are you done, Amy? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yes.
You skipped a few pieces there.
Cecil Satterthwaite
you're
with
good.
M&S Holdings. First off topic, I just wanna, I've been to several city meetings. I thought it was pretty cool they got on that I've never seen. So anyway, I thought that was kind of neat. Eric's here and we've had him help us with putting like master plans together, and he's been invaluable to us with different ideas, and he has a presentation he can show, that there's just a couple notes. We've been working with the city as Jeff has, and I did want to make mention, before 2017, the city general plan, basically what we're asking to go back to, that plan got changed, and I think it was, I don't know all the reasons behind it, but I think some of it was because the alignment of Skyline Drive got changed to a straight shot, which included huge cuts, like 60-foot cuts. And so it would be very hard to develop that, because the time you climbed out of those cuts, there's not much ground left. So the city has brought the street master plan kind of back to where it follows around. And so I did want to make mention of that, that the
It's already done that,
city's
so.
general plan did look like what we're wanting to go back to. But I don't know, I know we've taken a fair bit of time, but Eric's here with, and he can answer questions as far as the planning and the densities and stuff.
Hey there again. And I'll go through this relatively quickly, because a lot of what, we did work these together. And so a lot of the things that Jeff talked about are pertinent here as well. So I'll kind of bounce through these relatively quickly, and we can talk about any items as we need to. But next slide. So as Cecil mentioned, and Amy in her staff report, this was the 2009 land use plan that generally was a combination of a 1/3 acre density and some moderate density. And I think the thing to point out here, and in planning, that we always try to at least accomplish in some respect, is a transition. And so this property was a transition from what you see in red and pink there, that is the highway commercial, and even purple, which I think is light industrial or some definition similar to that. And so what this did was that it was more of a transition from those more intense uses and the Highway 89, et cetera, down there, up into the lower density that you see in the green, and was contemplated in 2009. Next slide. And then this was what it is currently. So 2-acre lots primarily. You can see what I think is interesting here is that alignment that Cecil's talking about with Skyline Drive. The alignment, as you just reviewed, actually does bisect this property pretty substantially. So one of the things that does is, as a collector, is it's going to have very limited access coming off of that. And so having 2-acre lots with that collector through the swath of this property as it is becomes a real problematic, constructability. Next slide. So there it is again. You can see our property. You can see Skyline Drive circling through, and we did get the grading from the city engineers on that, and so we understand, where we can kind of access off of that, how it fits in there, what we're dealing with, what's left. And so that was very helpful in us as we came up with a plan to integrate that Skyline Drive, which I know is a very important connector. And just to point out, you can see that the only gap that would be left pretty much would be from here to there. This is Jeff's western boundary, just to show that on a map. That's all that would be left to get you to Maddox quickly. So next slide.
Priorities.
That's right. It's all about food.
When you put this together, I mean, we did a lot of work to try to get that off. I mean, we were going to try to, we wanted to get the trucks off of 500 out of the gravel pit, but Parsons, thank goodness, they're down, and it took a lot of that away. Is that, in your opinion, the best route? Because we were limited on going through people's property and acquiring
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I mean,
Yeah,
is there a better layout for the road?
no, I actually think it works pretty well, and we worked with Dana, she got us, the files, and I think that if you can see the extension opportunities to connect there to the south and east on the corner. I actually think it works pretty well, and really what we did to respond to it was we said, look, I think grading makes a lot of sense. We always say you gotta get from point A to point B, and if point A is here and point B is there, the longer that route is, the better the grades are gonna be.
Yeah.
But there's a balance there, right? Because if you're just carving everything up, and you're leaving nothing else, developable around it, then that's also a problem. So I actually think we've looked at it and feel like it's a really good solution.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. But what it does is it pushed us, again, into this clustering concept. So the whole idea is that our density is an average for the site, but we're proposing 40% open space on this property as well. And with that, we would then cluster into, we are proposing some townhomes likely with this density, some smaller lots, and then, some moderately sized lots as we get maybe to the edges. But we think that's appropriate here, again, as I talk about that transition from the higher density and intensity of what's happening now and in the future along Highway 89 into that upper level. We think this is an appropriate place to integrate some of those townhomes.
And the townhomes are kind of like the Kaysville Farm type of thing as well, where it's like it.
And we're talking
Well,
alley
it's not like
loaded.
rows and rows and rows.
That's right, yeah, and they would be, I cut my teeth in Park City, and so, from a young, planning standpoint, I learned how to deal with this site, you're gonna have to do that. But I always say that it gives you a lot of opportunities, and so these will be, Park City type uphill and downhill townhomes and small lot, single family, but it's what you need to do in order to build, in this topography, and it actually affords a lot of great opportunities. But you can see here, really kind of a couple big clusters. The one that would come in here, and we've worked with Cecil and his team, this would be the reclamation of that active mine portion here. And then the same down here would be, just a cluster that's below that loop road. And, we've studied how we get in and out of those, 2 points of access, and then the opportunities to come in with some small green spaces. And, Councilman Gibbs, this isn't a site for a big park because of the topography, but what we
You
are.
could have a luge or something.
Yeah, well,
This is your ski hill.
yeah, so what we are talking about is, there's an opportunity to create a public trailhead right here that you could get onto these trails. You can imagine what it actually connect to Jeff's property. And we want to do some things, and we explored it with some of our imagery too, is there's going to be a cut slope back here that'll be rock from that quarry. And we think it'd be a great opportunity to just turn that into a climbing wall, climbing park. And
Is
so
that road, is that the existing Marriott?
yeah, right
road?
here is the
Still
existing
existing.
access.
But partnership with you, this. as
That's
well.
right.
Well, that's the M&A, or M&S.
M&S.
It's the end.
But that is that road.
Yeah, that is that road. Yeah, and it comes up here and then it keeps coming up here into here. So we would work with them to create, a pad that works for the development in here. But we also think it's kind of a great opportunity for the city to, acknowledge the fact that, it is a quarry, it is what it is. And as much as you hate them, you need road base and you need gravel and you need all those things. And so to kind of take something that's, maybe not a super positive to most people, especially visually, and turn it into a positive in the community.
It actually is a
is a
plus
win-win.
for us because Cecil mentioned in one of our meetings, if you stayed in the quarry, you'd end up making a whole lot more money than you would in developing this, but this is a better product for the city.
Yeah, and so we think it's a win-win. And then again, the open space at 40%, the trails, product diversity is there. We just, that there's a lot of good things. So in summary, and we can kind of go through, and Amy, if you want to go to the next, I'm just going to go through these quickly. We put some image boards together. The architecture, like you saw on the Hill Farms, that's the beauty of having smaller homes too, is you can afford to, and you almost have to make them a little more well-appointed. Doesn't have to be expensive, but details, alley gives you front porches, nice little kind of classic architectural elements. This is a townhome, I think this is a fourplex at Daybreak, that's really nice, you know, there's 3 single-family homes, you know, that one is front-loaded. You know, so you can do some really nice things. And I know that they've committed to that. I know between Cecil and Brett and Amy Marriott that this is high on their list. Of, you know, not only just bringing the project forward, it's going to be a bunch of, I call it different shades of beige.
Yeah,
It's-
I
this
hate
is-
these subdivisions that every house looks the same.
Yeah.
Well, this
If I was drunk and I went home and I couldn't find it.
I've always said, I've said the same thing.
Like,
Oh,
what
my
do you-
God.
I did that today, my daughter.
You know what happens.
I went to the wrong door.
Gee,
You know what happens?
I hate that.
To have some of those controls in there to keep the
Yes, the-
open space and the
The
character.
development agreement, yeah, exactly. So what we're asking for is essentially what was there in 2009, but we're gonna cluster it, you get the open space trail, the trailhead. That's all ratified in a development agreement. And then just that last sliding.
Oh, sorry.
It's not anything, but you'll see, you know, some of the opportunities. for
Now
some-
it's fighting me, sorry.
Uh,
Oh, that
sorry, I
one?
guess there were two
Oh,
slides. Yeah, so we have some of the, you can see some of the park space.
sorry, the mouse is, we asked them to switch wireless and now it's gone crazy.
PDFs, or just-
Okay. I'm almost there.
Here.
Oh,
Yeah,
There we
so
go.
you can see, you know, some of the concepts here, a lot of trails. This is actually a drone shot that, you know, talk preserving, there's some nice formations out there, so we would preserve all of those, of course. Maybe take advantage of a trail node or an overlook where we
Famous
can.
rock.
And then the last page just talks about,
Tent rock.
Can't run.
Mhm.
Can't run.
I'm
It
gonna
has
get
a
there.
cave down
You're
inside of it.
this just talks about the benefits, Skyline Drive, which we talked about, the conversion of the gravel pit, you know, the opportunity to hit sustainable housing. And I think you did mention, I think you will have people, the move up product that Jeff was talking about. We just need product. And so people will move out of maybe something that is affordable here into
Yeah.
something there that does open that up. But if they don't have the option, you know, out there, it's at least a step in the right direction. But yeah, in summary, it's 2009 plan, you know, the density that could have been built clustered in a master plan development. And you're that close to Maddox.
How many units? It's 200 and.
Well, it's 116 acres, so if we were 2 units an acre, it's 233, 116 and a half is 233, so, you know, anywhere between there and maybe a little higher. I mean, 3 units an
Depending on-
acres.
It has the potential for that, not necessarily guaranteed.
That's correct. So, anyway, I said I was gonna be short, and I don't know how well I did, but that's the start to it. So I'm here for questions. Cecil, I know, can answer, you know, he's literally been working with the city for years as a Jeff. And it has been a pleasure to work with both of these guys as well as staff. Thank you.
Are you going first?
No, well, I mean, you know, we need the road. I think that's, you kind of have us a little bit in a position where we, you know, we have to do something. I know road's expensive and you gotta be able to have the density to be able to afford that, and I get that. And, I don't know, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I wouldn't want to be a builder on that hill, but, I definitely like the diversity of the houses and the colors and the shapes and all those things. I hope that's what would actually come of that, so, anyway.
Yeah, to me, it's a win-win-win thing. I mean, we're talking about the master plan, but we're getting back to where we were and cleaning up the master plan. But you get taking care of the road, which is a huge thing. And the density's already there. I mean, we already have that. So, I mean, and then you get the master plan out of it. I think
I love that. I think that's.
it's different than the property above. At this point, it is. And I think it's that as citizens.
I love one person making it happen. Breaking it up into 3 or 4 different developments.
Yeah.
Having something silly and I love you. You know that. You're my brother, right? All good. Okay. And do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I do. You know I do. Yeah,
Thank
as
Ken,
you,
appreciate it. Okay,
oh
so-
my goodness. Hey, wait. Just
Go
the
ahead.
challenge of the topography here. I didn't really realize until we started working with these guys about how just that topography and the elevation is just tough over there. I believe we've done our due diligence with the public open house. We invited the public to come take a look at what we were doing. And yeah, I think this is, like Dave said, a win-win-win. So yeah, I'm in support.
Well, same thing, and when we did have the public open, a lot of people really liked the, you know, the little stickers that they had provided, this was a favorable thing, we're going back to what the general plan was before, is providing clustering with open space and trails and all of those things, and it gets rid of a mining operation, that's always a good. But no, and we need Skyline Drive, we absolutely do, and so, this is a great concept, and I'm in favor of it as well.
Cecil, what would your time frame be? Do you mind, I mean, just sharing that? I know it's hard, and we're still at the beginning of the
Right.
process.
This,
If everything was approved,
this is our first step. And if we're approved on the general plan, then we can start spending more money with Eric and and our engineers, we rely on those guys. And getting, firmer details on, and then there's
And
gonna be other questions, there's gonna be water and storm drain and all that, but before we take this step, it's hard for us to spend the money and not get these guys going. We wanna continue to work with the city with the master plan overlay zone, we'll do it as quick as we can. Once we get that approval, then, it won't all happen at once, it'll
No.
probably be a 15-year or
I'd
so
say
project.
10 years probably.
And maybe, be awesome, but we'll do it in phases, but, each step of the way, we come in and get those plans approved, but this is our first step. so.
Yeah, the road's
Hard to
gonna
give you,
the road's gonna have to be probably the main thing in the first
yeah,
place,
we gotta
right?
start at the bottom and work our way up.
So you're gonna use the existing mining operation to help with that road, and so that will be.
Yeah,
nice.
and if this gets approved, that pit will probably only be there a year, maybe less, right around a year. But the kind of nice thing about that is it's gonna make it a nice platform for some housing.
Yeah. I think it's a great concept and idea.
Anyway,
Yeah.
entertain a motion. If there's any
Uh,
other comments.
I'll make a motion. That we approve the petition for a general plan amendment for the 97.7 acres of land from rural residential to low density residential. This is ordinance 2025-3.
I'll go ahead.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. 2 seconds. We have a motion in 2 seconds, but we'll take the first one, Sarah. There's a roll call. Arrington,
Yes.
Gibson, yes. Marriott,
Yes.
Nelson's excused, Yuri.
Yes.
All right, so let it be written. So let it be done. All right, item number 6, Tammy, you're on.
Okay, I think mine's gonna be a little bit easier, I hope. We have 2 subdivisions that are been approved by the engineers for final acceptance. So it's to the city council to approve that so that we can release the escrow amounts.
So I have a question on that. I was told that there possibly could be some outstanding bills from engineering.
We haven't approved all of the fees have been paid yet, but so it would be subject to that.
So why do you bring that forward now and not till after everything's done? Why are we approving it with the caveat that we still need to accept the bills?
Just, after Jones has sent us the information, there still could be some statements that have not cleared, of Jones's statements that have not cleared.
So we bring this forward for
And we
final
can table it.
acceptance. No, I just wonder why we do that. We do that all the time. We take,
Won't get their last bill for like, I don't know, the next month.
Yeah,
and so what,
$100 on it, because they did the inspection. and
right,
stuff.
so why wouldn't we have this brought forth when all the bills are paid and have it be done?
Then we would just be the same spot, but just bring it back in about a month.
I know, but but we're gonna, if we approve it, which we will tonight, with the stipulation that all the bills are paid. So it's not gonna be released for another month, or whenever we get the bill. I mean, it's just a little thing, but it always bothers me.
Well, it's probably better for us to prove it with that, so they can, it gives them incentive to
All right.
push the subdivision.
It up and end it.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to, approve the final.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve final acceptance of Budge Farm subdivision, phase 1 and 2.
You have a
With-
motion,
Second that motion.
have a second by Sarah.
Do- Yeah, subject to fees being paid to the city.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Amy, website contract.
Yes, so before you this evening is an agreement with Civic Plus, a website vendor. We have gone through with our web committee, council members Marriott and Councilmember Nilsson are the members on that. As well as we have various staff included in that effort, and the mayor have gone through. We issued an RFP on September the 23rd to invite qualified companies. We had 15 proposals, reviewed them at length, and ended up interviewing 2 of the groups. And Civic Plus was the clear vendor for selection. They've got significant expertise in municipal websites, and they showed us the front end, the back end, customer service planning. It was a very good product. The best part of this product for staff is they will migrate and transition all the content from our existing website to the new platform. It is a 7-month process. There will be some back and forth. I believe that this will provide a huge benefit to our residents with regard to transparency of information, searchability, ADA accessibility. It's going to be a much improved product. The cost is within the budget that's included in the agreement, and the agreement has been approved by legal, and so staff would recommend approval and adoption of this contract.
I have a question. Are we able to load content on ourselves when we're done with this, or will we have to contract with them to load new content on?
Yes, so we will be loading the content, and we load the current content on our website, but they'll be migrating it all over, and we'll be able to go through it and approve what's on there. I did indicate that due to some of the challenges we've had with our existing website, there will be some cleanup of content. They're comfortable and aware of that. And so with the, after the migration, and they, again, that's part of why we wanted to see the back end, the simplicity for the staff to not have to have website expertise in updating this information. And with the updates that they run frequently, I think it'll provide a really good asset. And Councilmember Marriott was involved in the web interviews. I don't know if you had any specific comments on this.
I have a lot to say. This is awesome. We did vet all of them, went through all of them, but Civic Plus, and we had an interviews in person with Civic Plus and also another one, Earth Diver. But Civic Plus is designed for municipalities, and it's very clear when you start looking at all the other ones. And there are multiple cities in Utah that use Civic Plus, some of them here in Weber County. But they understand cities, they understand exactly what everybody has to do in the city and what makes sense. And I'm sure if there are upgrades, we talked about this, if there's additional upgrades and things like that, that would help, they'll roll those out to the other municipalities as well as ours. And so there's a lot of really good stuff. Plus, it's significantly lower budget than most the ones we even talked to, and it's under our budget by 10 grand.
Hey Dave, will we be able to pay for like a recreation sign up? Will there be like a credit card ability or a payment ability on there?
So
Yes, go ahead.
yes, right now, our request is compatibility with the payment structures that we currently utilize, and that's Express Bill Pay. And the reason why, and there are some changes coming down the chute with the state and cybersecurity requirements with third-party vendors that take people's personal information. And so they can work with our current vendors They do have their own, platform as well that we can take into consideration. It doesn't cost any extra to utilize that if we decided to shift there. But I have confirmed that they're able to and planning to meet the cybersecurity requirements that the state's bringing forward. And again, because they utilize their platform with so many Utah cities, they're vested in doing that.
You can make payments then.
Yes.
Oh, certainly.
Yes.
It would be
Okay.
using, the proposal is to use the current payment system that we use because that's what we're locked in on. But it would be a seamless, mhm.
Or, and like court and your city bill is available now, but. you can do
Correct.
Recreation and maybe.
Cause court has to be
youth
through the
city
state website,
council,
yeah.
all of those things.
Yeah, from a usability standpoint for staff, it's light and day. I mean, a night and day difference. It's really
I hope so.
crazy. So
Really
it's,
awesome.
I mean, what we have currently is just not.
Dinosaur.
So-
I asked the staff to come up with good website examples and bad website examples, and ours was the bad website example. No. And and these are people that have to use this and update this, so I think it's time.
Thanks for your work on this, you guys. This is long overdue,
Well-
so thanks for taking care of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just, can I clarify some things? I don't know if you know this, Laurie. What are we paying currently annually for our website right now?
And
Okay.
then, and then plus, I think 400 or 500 for some of the domain.
Sorry, can you guys restate what Lori
So
said? I
we're-
couldn't hear
yeah,
it.
we're-
Yeah, so 4,600 and I'd say 4 to 600. So 4,600 plus 4 to 600 for some domain maintenance.
Yeah, so we're paying somewhere around $6,000 probably right now. And about $30,000 of frustration goes into it every year.
No kidding.
This total package for the year is, what was the total cost on that? It's,
So
I want to say 38, is that right?
it actually, when we talked to them
Yeah,
and reduced
sorry.
some of the items, it went down to 25.
Plus the.
The total investment, 25,600, and then for the annual recurring services, it is 8,500.
Right.
That does include all of the training and the backup support.
Right, so then the annual going forward would be, it's gonna go up by 2% probably annually, but it's around, it's about $9,000. It's gonna be a better, so much better product. We've already budgeted enough for this year and next year in the current budget,
I'm
so.
excited. How long
So-
until that goes out?
So they said, and I really felt like they were very honest in their, so we, if we can get in early this year, they said we'll get in the queue faster, but they said it would be about 7 months. And part of it is they're migrating the content and allowing us to review it and their process. And the other company was very wonderful and reputable as well. They're more tourism destination focused and we need functional. And so, and we need less staff intensity and the other groups was a little bit more staff intensive.
And I think a lot of that really comes back to us. It's gonna take us time to vet what we really want to, what do we want it to look like, right? I mean, you said, hey, if we can look like Logan's, yeah, if we can
Or
go,
just-
there's lots of
yeah.
the good examples, right? And we just need to, how it looks and what data, what we want it to do.
User-friendly, attractive and functionality.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
user friendly, I think is gonna be the benefit of this whole thing, so. anyway.
Okay, Dave,
I'd like to
motion
make-
away. Yeah.
I'm going for it. I'd like to make a motion that we accept Civic Plus as our website contractor. And I guess that's it.
Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Tyson, fire hydrant rental agreement.
So this, we're just trying to update a form used as long as I have known, adding some information that we've just been handwriting on over the years. With new people and just trying to make it cleaner and more standard. Getting some more pertinent information that we needed to help track those better. The two big changes aside from those are the deposit increase to the $2,000 versus the 200. 200 probably covered a hydrant meter back when this form was originally created, but It's been long outdated.
So that's the 2,000 is close to what the cost of the meter is? Is that what you're saying?
You're about half, depending on if
Okay,
what they're filling up, if you have to add the backflow prevention to it or not, depending on their setups that they're renting. And that,
Do we charge them by water? I mean, they have the rental fee plus the water fee, right?
yes,
Or-
$7.
yes, they pay an increased bulk water rate when they rent these, and then the administration gets into having to deal with the issues and more of these developments and more water and chasing them down. And I think we have two outstanding that are about $6,000 between the two of them, right around there. So just trying to get the dollars to closely match what's currently happening.
Is that really all the change? It's really just the dollar amounts? Is there other stuff in there?
So there's some language we just added to try to clean up disputes and things that came over. My superintendent looked over some of those and talked about us needing to take it at any time. That's number 4, and reclaim, and essentially for whatever reason or circumstance.
Are there people that just go and have their own meter and plug it in?
Yes, we've caught a few and worked with code enforcement, I think, last year on 2 of them that we found.
Yeah, is there?
Yeah, there's a few places that are notorious. That one that gets called in is Bona Vista's, and it's their meter. The one out on the highway by Marriott's, I think it's Marriott that has some
Contract with
agreement
them.
with Bona Vista, so. But
Usually-
they're,
You don't, there's no way to really tell if somebody is connected to one, right? other than the
so
meter?
if you get a known dirty water call, that's usually a big trigger, and depending on where those calls are coming in at, and that just gets back to with everything, you
Yeah.
know, getting people to call in when it's happening, because those are how we try to narrow down our search areas to find those people or issues.
So, are-
Kind of like mimicking a water event.
yeah,
So it just, it
same thing.
pulls the iron off the walls and stirs that up, and then you follow the dirty water calls.
Is there instructions on how to connect to this to make it so that it doesn't?
So
Is there ways to like, hey, this is how fast you can flow the water and things like that?
Yes, and that's part of that additional 100 is because we do spend a considerable amount of time with them, and
Okay,
we go
cool.
out and meet, because, so you have to check the trucks off for their cross connection backflow compliance. Either they have to have the air gap or some other means to meet
Okay.
that requirement.
Is that all documented? It's pretty clear. I mean,
It's all.
I'm
just
kind of
where
getting
it
into a
is.
5S type of a question right now, so anyway. Cool.
No, but I could see.
It'd be really
with-
good to have.
You've
yeah.
always just had the superintendents usually there, and they're managing your cross connection program. But yes, as we get bigger, now that you say it,
That's
you
a
know, some
really
sort
good
of
instruction, a
part of
checklist.
this. But
Yeah.
we could, I think, add those type of things without. a
Yeah, it
formal-
doesn't need to be in
Mhm.
this. No, I get it. That's
But
great.
yes, that is all part of that.
One more question. Does the meter, is it wireless? When they bring it back to you, is that when you read it, or how do you read them? When do you read the
So
meter?
ours aren't, they're marked, and that's one of the other bigger changes, is trying to just set a standard monthly, because so many of these projects lately have turned into these more long-term, and there was no official trigger. And so by the time you're going to look for it, and you're hunting down contractors, and they're sifting through, because they rent meters from cities all over the valley, and just trying to narrow that down, that you have eyes on it every month, as well as trying to build to keep that cost down.
So you just read the meter when they return it, or?
That's what we had been doing, but this is gonna trigger a monthly. So in the
Go after
past,
them,
if they had it 6 months, you'd essentially get it at the end, take it in, and start doing all the math.
All right, cool. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the fire hydrant rental agreement form.
I'll second that motion.
You have a motion, a second. Any discussion? All
Hang on-
approve?
hang- Well, hang on one
favor?
second. So the next one will change the actual, right? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now let's approve the, consolidated fee schedule.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the consolidated fee schedule, which includes changing the meter deposit from 200 to 2,000.
All right. you have
A
a question?
second.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Yeah, and thank you. No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, excuse me. I had it right here too. Arrington,
Yes.
Gibson, yes. Marriott,
Yes.
Nelson, excuse. Yuri,
Yes.
okay, that passes. Property acquisition for Skyline Drive, item number 10, Tyson.
So following the requirements with WACOG and that the right-of-way purchases. Before you have the purchase of the PUE right-of-way for 606 West, 4300 North. An amount of $62,400. This is the one we had on previously, and should have the contract detailing where we'll go take this, if approved, go to the title and start the official process to,
These funds are by the WACOG funds?
these are WACOG
Yes,
funds.
so ultimately, we front the costs, but we do get reimbursed through WACOG and have the funding that's been allocated for that.
Straightforward.
So is this,
Yeah.
just a specific length?
There's portions where we have our property acquisition agent that's working with willing sellers at this point, and so it's portions that willing sellers have committed.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make the motion to approve the property acquisition at 606 West, 4300 North for the future Skyline Drive. Amount of $62,400.
You have a motion by Sarah,
I'll second the motion.
second by Dave. This is a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, engineering professional services agreement. Amy, I'm gonna excuse myself for just a minute, so.
You're
don't
just
have
fine.
any-
Before you this evening is a proposal for, the establishment of an engineering professional services agreement. The city has worked with, Jones and Associates for the past several years, and in doing so have established them as their engineer of record, which is a requirement in the Utah Code to have engineering staff available for the city. As part of that, it is desirous of the staff that we solidify this working relationship and have in place an agreement that establishes our working relationship. This does allow for some flexibility if the city chooses to solicit bids for individual projects from other engineering services. And it has been found agreeable to the engineering contractor, so Jones and Associates, to have this language. There is an update to the fee schedule. They actually are on a calendar year and update those every year. And so I'd encourage for your consideration, utilizing that updated fee schedule that's been provided to you for the adoption. And then that's something that we'd be looking at on an annual basis as Jones proposes updates to those.
I don't know if it was a across the board percentage fee schedule increase.
It,
Like, was it 10% increase or?
it went through each item, but it was, most of them were $1 or $2. I think most I saw was $5 more.
And it provides the option for, it's not just straightforward, like if you want a different level of service or something like that, or, we only want you to design this much, then we want to be able to go with another designer, it provides that option.
Certainly, yes. So what it does is it establishes a baseline for the services that we will be utilizing through them. It's a 3-year agreement. There are, as in many professional service contracts, you know, clauses that allow for that to be shortened if desirable by either party with a 60-day notice, but it does allow and provide for utilization of other services or addition to the services rendered as per the request of city staff.
Kind of an à la carte.
Yes. So currently, we don't utilize a written agreement working with them, and so this, again, kind of just solidifies that working relationship.
No, we've never had an actual contract. We just contract with them, but we haven't had a written contract of this is what we will pay for certain services.
I mean, it's hard to judge what our costs are, for engineering, because of the type of business it's brought to the city, that kind of stuff, but have our engineering costs gone down at all? I mean, I think we kind of, I mean, I don't know, going down is right.
Have you guys have taken note more of engineering costs and stuff, have they gone down?
So it really ebbs and flows because some of the projects that they work on, it depends on how busy we are with our development. And so there's kind of 2 different branches of what they do for us. One being, you know, that engineer of record working through with all of the duties that are assigned in our city code and in state code related to engineering, but then also assisting with development review and being part of our development review committee and doing inspections of public improvements.
Because that's because we have a limited staff. Right? That they do more than just engineering.
Correct, but I would say they don't always do more than engineering, but yes.
Yes, and then just to add in with projects, with as many projects as we have, without looking at the number, I would assume that's significantly up for each department, just on the enterprise funds. Just with many projects as we open and currently working on, I'm sure the numbers are up.
I have a comment/question on this. I think that without the contract, we haven't really been protecting ourselves against what they can charge us or do charge us. So I think it's a good idea. Also, I just want to make sure that this doesn't lock us into Jones, like just exclusively, correct?
Correct. So it does as our principal engineer of record. But with regard to project specific desires, there are absolutely some options to go about soliciting another engineer. And if there are challenges or issues that the city experiences under this agreement, there are absolutely, you know, again, that 60-day notice, but ways to move away from this.
I was just
Just-
looking at this, I looking
Oh.
at the 60-day notice though, and it doesn't allow for an option to discontinue. It
What
only,
is it?
only allows for an option to extend.
Could we amend that to allow that option to discontinue?
So, yeah.
So, item-
25,
Item 22, oh, no, that's not right.
Hang on.
Sorry.
22.
Nope.
severance, oh, maybe that is.
25, sorry. Oh, it's been a long night. Let's see, it's agreements. Forest for a period of 3 years, however, it's the city shall have the right to. Oh, terminations described in sections 5 and 6 is what that references, so let me go back to.
Oh, is that where it is?
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Yeah, termination for cause and termination for convenience. And my apologies, it's not 60 days,
So-
it's 90 days.
So it can be cause and convenience, or one or the other.
Correct. So termination of cause doesn't require a notice, but termination of convenience does, and it's 90
90
days.
days. Okay.
So if we decided to go with somebody else.
I agree with Ann. I do think we don't have a written agreement, so this protects everybody a lot better.
And as far as if you check on other engineering companies and stuff, their rates are very similar. I called Hanson, checked some of the things that were noted in your email, and they're very similar. So it's not, engineering is just expensive, and in my opinion, whether it's Jones or somebody else, your city needs a good engineer. Absolutely can't be without a good engineer.
Amen. Everybody needs a good engineer.
No bias there. And this does provide us an option if, you know, like Ann mentioned, that if there's other projects that we need to look at or, you know, go with other services, it provides that option. So there's some flexibility for sure.
And this agreement has been reviewed and approved by legal.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd make a motion, can't speak right here clearly, but I'd like to make a motion that we approve the engineering contract with Jones and Associates as been presented.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second discussion. I'd like to have one discussion for just 1 second. I personally would like to put out an RFQ or RFP.
Mhm.
What do you want to say?
RFQ probably,
Okay.
request for qualifications.
For other firms. I know that, Jones is very familiar with Pleasant View, which is a plus, you know, they know a lot of stuff, but I don't feel that it's a win-win situation. I know they're good quality, they do everything right, but I've long since had problems with overcharging and just, I don't know, and I think this contract will hopefully take care of some of that. But I'd like to see what's out there. You know, Sarah says that they're all about the same. They could be, but I want to have a partner that is, that works with the city. And I just don't feel that that's a really good, I mean, they're there to make money, that's fine. And that's their job, to make money and to create work. But anyway, so I would like to put that out there as a request from one council member to have that. Not part of this motion necessarily, but just, I would like to,
Put that solicitation out. and
yeah,
just get some
I would just like to see what other people have to offer, see what they're doing. And maybe I'll do a little research from other cities and see what, maybe not Weber County, because I know Jones is pretty good here, but I've got some friends in other cities.
Use that chart though for the same services.
Well, I just wanted to be a partner, and it has to be a partner with the city, and anyway.
Hey, I'd like to go on record. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Steve. It's hard to tell on Zoom, but I'd like to go on record that I agree with that with Steve on this. I'd like to do the same. I think we need to just make sure we're getting a competitive rate.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the current contract that's in front of us. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Meeting schedule. I was going through the first or the second and fourth, and really the only 2 months that don't agree with that would be November. Veterans Day is on the 11th, and the week before Thanksgiving is a tough one for everybody. And then also,
Probably say, doesn't say that.
is that, is that,
Wait a minute, there's nothing circled in August.
well, those are just,
Circle the holidays.
holidays,
Oh.
yeah, so,
We don't want to meet on all of those.
yeah, so,
I know that's my signature move. I didn't circle those.
I mean, I've got them uncircled the second and fourth, so April 22nd, they, got a training month,
That's only if we go down to the league. Oh.
okay, so we're gonna do away
The
with,
cities and towns if.
we're gonna
if
do away with the
council members
22nd,
would like
is
to
that-
go.
I would like to do that, because I'm gonna be gone, so,
So,
I see the front,
yeah,
So-
agree with those ones, or is there other ones you want to change?
Do you want to move it in that month?
well, I don't
Provide an
know.
option or
I'm-
something?
It is a lot of canceled ones. I know.
Well, absolutely.
It is so nice when we have a big council meetings. It gives us a chance to catch up with things. I am not kidding.
So April, we're gonna cancel the 22nd, okay? And I think that's fine, because I won't be here.
But no
Um,
preference there.
Yeah, that's a little biased. July 22nd, which is
Cancel that one, yes.
I think that would be,
It's the week of the 24th. There's stuff going on. I
we
think.
could, we could move it to the 29th possibly, but
Or the 15th, either way.
nah, I think we want to move it. We wouldn't have back to back.
Do you want to leave the option open to meet on?
Well,
the
let's, I don't know, what's the best? Have a placeholder or cancel it?
I think
Cancel, and if you need me, you could always.
Okay, let's cancel July 22nd. November 11th, I think veterans deserve that, so let's cancel the 11th, but we do need one in November, so should we do the
You know,
18th?
holy cow, this is Thanksgiving.
Oh, excuse me. So November
We
will
could
be,
do the 4th and the 18th
well, let's
instead of
just,
the 11th and
let's
the
just do the
25th.
because we'll have one on October 28th, so let's do the November 28th. Or excuse me.
November 18th.
November 18th, excuse me. And then December, what are you thinking about December? We're canceling the
Uh-huh,
25th
and the 11th.
and the 11th and
And we'll be the
and
18th.
we'll meet the 18th in November. And then December, we'll have December 9th and then cancel the other one. Everybody feel good about that?
Yeah, I do have one question though.
Yeah.
Just in June, Father's Day, what do
We
do there?
usually need that week anyway, though.
Usually we have
Ten-
a week
No.
prior.
10th and the 24th, we've always had
We-
canceled
we all-
there. Well, isn't the 23rd the June 10th or whatever?
The 19th, but the
Oh, the
23rd is
19th.
when, well, the 23rd is when it would be
Is
celebrated.
that-
You're
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
so June 10th, we do the grand marshals and all that presentation and stuff, and so do we,
I think it's okay. We could do it. That's far enough in advance to do it. So,
What?
Well, but are you guys off on the 23rd?
yes.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I think
Yes,
that's
but
a,
we
it's a
put
month.
big discussion.
So
I
we
would
went,
say-
we went with the way that the state's holiday is celebrated.
Put it-
No. it's
No.
Monday.
No, they're gone, and actually it helps out because they all have to work Saturday.
Okay, so let's take off the 24th and then if we need something in
We
June.
could do the 17th
Probably,
if we need to.
it's probably a good thing for staff.
Yeah, this was a big discussion 2 years ago, wasn't it, about doing that?
Well, I wanted to do it in a different day, but,
So June
the state-
10th, for sure, and then if we need to
20,
meet on
20,
the 17th.
24th, we'll take that off for now. Artie, do you have those? Can you read those back to us?
It's every, your memo plus June, or
Okay.
June 24th.
We are gonna take the 24th.
June 24th?
All right.
Can you send us calendar invites, Amy?
Do we need to
Yes.
vote on that then, Ari?
I did,
We-
with budget timing and stuff, can we take the 24th out? I mean, that's a,
Yeah,
We can always reschedule if we need to, too. This isn't finite, just,
When is the budget, it has to be finalized by the end of June.
June 30th, they changed it, to June 30th.
So if we don't have everything figured out, then we can meet on the 17th or the 24th.
Generally, I've tried to do it that first meeting.
Usually we have everything figured out.
Founder's Day and.
All right. So we good? Do we need to vote on that?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the 2025 calendar as stated.
second motion.
You can make a motion.
All right, I'll make that motion. Second by Dave. All in favor?
Hi.
Aye,
It's a nice thing about Mayor Pro Tem, he can motion
I guess so.
and vote.
Any opposed? Okay. Let's do, well, I guess we're gonna do other business, then we do have 2 closed meetings, so,
You do?
yeah. we can do.
Oh.
Chief. Since you've been so quiet? Since what, a couple hours ago?
Yeah.
This would be short.
Little department report, things are going good. We had a new officer start, just out of the academy, started the end of December 30th. Seems to be doing well. One of the challenges in Pleasant View is just getting the call volume and getting the opportunities to get him trained up, but we work close with North Ogden and Harrisville, and they let him get exposure and come with our calls and get some exposure that way, so.
How old is he? Can I ask that at all?
What's that?
Is he just, I mean,
right out of the
early-
academy, pretty young.
early 20?
He's a younger kid. He's just out of the academy. He's graduated the academy. It's a good opportunity. Amy came down to his academy graduation.
It's fun, yeah.
It's a good thing. And then, we have an officer retiring.
Lance.
Yeah, Lance Donaldson's retiring this month, so have a little celebration thing coming up for him. Thank him for his
How many do
service.
we have again right now? We have,
We have 10 and we'll be at 9, after Lance
So
leaves.
we're still 4 short?
4 short, yep. So, getting a couple applications, but obviously we want to have a high standard and get the best cops we can get, so.
it'd be nice to meet them, the ones that we have, because Lucy brought one over to Mullenby the other day, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that was him.
I do.
That was him. That was the new one that just started,
Gotcha.
so.
I gotta make sure they know me.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll get to know you soon though. But
Officer, I
that-
promise, I
Yeah.
can go that speed.
with that, with the recruitment thing, just real quick, look forward to something coming forward in the future. Amy and I are working together on a lateral program that we can implement to try to lateral some experienced guys. And, I feel like a small department with much of their shift or, still requires them to be alone or be on calls by themselves. I think a lateral program is pretty essential to our operation, so. Amy's been really good about working with me on that, and hopefully we'll have something here soon to present and put in, so. That's all I have.
I appreciate all you do. I appreciate the officers. It's comforting to see the trucks drive by. So thank you. Tyson?
Yeah, we're just working through a handful of projects. We just kicked off the Barker Family Pond reconstruction out there. Super excited about that one. That one's been a safety element for us for as long as I've known, and we're excited. Michael's working through that. We've met with the Barkers and kept them in the loop the whole process, so hopefully they'll get in and get the structure up and running. There's some other exciting movement you'll hear about later. And then keeping the projects moving. Yeah, that's what it was supposed to be. And then, yeah, we're just moving into switching kind of gears into the annual reports. 'Tis the season. So in between trying to move them forward and the day-to-day, we'll start digging into the annual reports, and yeah, guys are great and keep plows ready, and we had those first couple took out quite a few trucks. We went through some main hydraulic hoses, and all the guys came together, and yeah, we lost our control in the other one. There was a lot of oddity things for those not being terrible storms by any means, so. Yeah, we were down, I think, well, we're down 3 people, and we had more people than we had trucks for a minute for there, so. But, Caleb, I don't know if everybody's got a chance to meet him. He's the newer mechanic and working through getting them to the places. If it's a lot of the new plows with the control systems, and we had to take a couple of them in to get repairs and through the other ones. And yeah, we're a great group of people and glad to have them and keep working, try to keep it all going.
About 9 o'clock, I heard a big roar outside my office window. No, the street sweeper was coming down my street. I thought, that is so, in January,
So weird.
Warm and wet.
I can't believe that we can be street sweeping in January. It's just nuts.
Yeah, those last few, they had a couple hours out,
So,
handful of guys, and it's weird because I'll be down just at my house and it's raining, you're watching, you know, and I'll hear later on that, well, no, we were up in this weird, and they were talking about it for a while because it was like not even everything above the canal, like in the past, it was sort of like this middle section. It's like, I can't think I've ever had it do that, so, but yeah, down here, just rain. It's been a weird year.
thank you, Amy.
I don't have anything this evening.
Laurie? Ann?
Yeah, I just want to give you a report on CERT. I shout out to Cindy and Amy for what they've done on that committee, but The latest update is we've got a repeater that we've got up in Pole Patch, and we're using some pretty high-tech radios that we've given out, just a handful of those to, like, you know, the top people in our CERT hierarchy, if you will. And those will do some really strong communication. They said you could talk all the way to Tooele and back with those. We probably have like 6 of them or so, Amy, somewhere in there, right?
Yes, for all of the section leaders.
Yeah, and then those can actually talk to those like lower profile radios that you can get like at Walmart or whatever. So like if they choose to work with their people that are underneath them with radio, they can, you know, use something very inexpensive, but it'll be pretty guaranteed communication between, you know, the upper levels. So anyway, really great advancement there. We know communication's key in an emergency, so I really appreciate what they've done on that. That's really nifty setup. So good job.
Were we gonna get a radio for every section? Was that,
Yes,
wasn't there?
so
So it was like 16 total? or something?
no, it's less than that. So, and maybe it's not called the sections, maybe it's called the districts. I'm probably getting the
Yeah, I
terminology
can't
wrong.
remember what they
I'm
are.
sorry. Cindy, we're here. Whew. So it's for every district, and then from there, they kind of utilize a method of communication that they set up within
Inside their
that.
own-
Mhm.
inside
But
their
at
own.
least then it gives some communication with the city. We also have Dewey Diploma, appreciate his efforts being the head operator for communication with Weaver County in the event of an emergency. Again, it was a very good training and appreciate. Mhm.
Great job.
We live for these meetings.
That's all I have.
Just make it quick, June 22nd, excuse me. January 22nd is the day of the legislature, and the city council is going. I don't know if any of you guys are going, but it'd be great to have you guys there. They're excited to go, and we've been working hard with them, so, yeah. And that's okay. And then also Cindy and I met to go through all the events, you know, and put the schedule, and we'll get that paper to you, for the year. I think tomorrow we have to register everybody. Yeah. So 22nd, yeah.
It's always a fun time.
Oh.
And I haven't followed up with Representative Wilcox, but when I talked with him prior, he's planning on giving us the tour.
That's always a highlight for the kids.
So I don't know if it would help if I follow up, but I'm happy to. So
Yeah, his office, and then he takes us through all the back areas and stuff, and the kids think it's really cool. Talks to us about how it all works.
It's mostly a morning thing. we were done
It's,
too.
yeah.
morning and lunch.
Yeah, but then we all meet over at the Salt Paws Convention Center, and that's when the governor comes and the speaker of the house.
I'm not sure if it's at Salt Paws or if it's the Hyatt again.
It might be, well,
Yeah.
either way, but.
Downtown Salt Lake.
The speaker of the house, the governor, everybody comes over and they feed you a very nice meal, and all the mayors, you know, from the different cities and towns are there, and the UCB councils, and everybody hobnobs and eats, and, yeah.
I don't either.
Okay.
So, we need to go into a closed meeting for discussion of property acquisition.
Correct.
I'd entertain a motion.
Sorry, could I be able to join that just over phone or no?
So I think we could
Still have a
hold it
phone.
just in here. Is that, yeah. So yes, you can stay on the Zoom. We'll just need to stop the live stream.
Tyson, you
Okay.
can- you need to be here. Chief, I don't know, you can stay or you can go if you want.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion.
You're welcome to go
that
be with your family.
We go into a closed meeting to discuss property acquisition.
Let's second that motion.
Is that a roll call or is that? Ann?
You gotta give me warning. I gotta get off mute. Yes.
Thanks
Sarah?
for being here. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Steve, yes. Thanks, chief.
See ya, Stetson.